So I want to invite Edith Yeung onto the stage, who will be hosting and moderating this session. And Edith put this panel together, and I really want to thank her for doing that and extending her expertise and knowledge essentially around what is going on in the mobile computing world. So Edith, I'll let you introduce everyone. And you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Please welcome Edith Yeung from San Francisco.
So I'm going to sit over here. Yes, I am the 27-year-old. I wish. Why don't we all... Yeah. So let's let all my friends from San Francisco plus Canada sit down. So we're going to have about an hour and 15 minutes together. And what am I going to do? Feel free to stand up. I'm just going to start with Monty, who is the CEO of Ahead of Time, and also an author of the book called Mobile Future 2020. So I'm going to have you first introduce yourself.
Okay.
Thanks, Monty.
Thank you. So I'm glad to be here. I'll have the honor to do the introduction for our panel, Mobile Future. And I'd like to start about basic ideas about the future, because I think we are a backward-looking society. We are backward-looking because it is just human nature. We all personally experience the past ourselves. And we look around and we see evidence of the past all around us. All information we are creating on social media, for example, suddenly becomes part of history. So the past is very knowledgeable, but yet we are spending the rest of our life in the future. So it almost seems like we are walking backwards into the future. So my job, is it to help you turn around? Is it to help you to create an understanding of what the future and the mobile future might hold? So people make decisions on their interpretation of the future. So our visions of the future shape our actions today. So basically, if you change the vision of the future, you can change how the people make decisions. So you can actually create and shape the future. So Hong Kong is a very special place. We're here in a big digital ecosystem. And if you look on a global scale, there are a few global ecosystems which are influencing Hong Kong and this area a lot. For example, in the US, we have big players like Facebook, Google, eBay, Amazon, who create their own ecosystem. In Asia, there's the BAT, the Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, Xiaomi, and others shaping an own digital ecosystem. And Europe is a little bit lacking behind, I would say. We don't have a big own social network. I'm based in Munich, in Germany, and are always discussing this issue, that we are kind of squeezed between two massive ecosystems. So I think Hong Kong is in a very special position because you can leverage both big ecosystems while bringing a lot of creative people here together. So there are a few questions regarding mobile. I think at the moment we are at the next evolution of mobile technology. It's not about mobile pure players anymore. It's not about creating the next mobile OS or something like that. I mean, these are pure mobile players. At the moment, it's really that mobile is disrupting and transforming traditional industries. Think about infrastructure, healthcare. Think about all different traditional industries. These changes mobile will change these industries rapidly in the future. So questions for today are probably, how can we accelerate innovation? How can we drive digital transformation? And how can we empower entrepreneurs to actually build a mobile future? So what are the opportunities here for Silicon Hong Kong? And if you travel a lot, like I do doing these speeches, sometimes I hear that the world is flat. There's a book by Thomas L. Friedman who says we are a digital economy, we are getting together on a globalization scale. But actually, if you travel to these hotspots, you realize that the world is spiky. It's about these innovation hotspots, like here in Hong Kong, like in the Silicon Valley, like in Tokyo or Seoul or Beijing. It's really about people getting together in a magnet attitude to actually drive these mobile topics forward. And for me, as a trend researcher, I always create a kind of a trend radar. And that's important for mobile, especially because as a digital leader, you have to see the iceberg before it hits the Titanic. So you actually have to make the decisions today on what the future might bring in a couple of years. So for mobile, for example, we already reached quite some substantial penetration. So out of the 7 billion people on the planet, 4 billion have not been connected, so 3 billion have been connected to the internet. And of course, mobile will be the most likely the first entry point for the next 4 billion who enter the internet. So mobile will be their access point to the web. And of course, messaging is one of the key applications. As you can see here, in China with WeChat, WhatsApp, in Europe, in US. And of course, the cost of mobile devices are falling rapidly. So these are all factors which are driving mobile innovation a lot. Cost of data and access is falling, and mobile accounts for 33% of the whole internet traffic already. But although we just have 37% of smartphone penetrations, so there's still a huge upside. And if you look in the investments in this space, last year there had been around $50 billion invested by VCs globally in all companies, but around a third of it, so $20 billion went into mobile companies, mobile internet-based technologies, only in the last 12 months. So that's a lot of money invested. And you can already see a shift from pure mobile players into like mobile health startups, mobile infrastructures, like mobile companies who are actually transforming traditional industries. So what we've done a few years back was to create a future vision of the year 2020. So we thought, how will the future of mobile look like? And we did that back in 2008. So we published this video, which I'll show you in a minute, back in 2009. And we started with a time frame back from the first patent of mobile phone into to the year 2020. But if you watch the video, just remind that after 2009, all facts had been predictions by us. And what is interesting now is actually to reflect on these topics and see, did they already happen? Are we just like at the beginning, or are we already like quite advanced in that topic? So I'd like to show you this video.
In the year 2020, mobile media and communication has radically transformed the economy and our daily living unimaginable in an earlier age. Everyone has access to information on his mobile devices and contributes to the community. However, the media as you know it has exceeded to exist. Mobile has turned the world into a global information hub and has opened radical new business opportunities. The 21st century has unclosed the power of the information age, looking back to a not-so-distant past. The road to mobile media revolution started at the beginning of the 20th century. 1906, the first US patent for a wireless phone was registered. 1973, the first mobile phone call was placed in New York City. 1979, the first commercial mobile phones were presented in Tokyo. 1982, Nokia introduced its first portable phone. 1991, the first GSM network opened in Finland. 1998, the first mobile content, a ringtone, was sold. 1999, the BlackBerry was introduced, starting the era of mobile email. 2001, the third generation of mobile phones was launched in Japan. 2007, we reached over 3 billion mobile phone subscribers. The introduction of the iPhone is the start of the touch device era. 2008, over 1 billion people have access to the internet, while 600 million people have access to the web through their mobile handset. 2009, the social network Facebook welcomed its 200 millionth user, while Twitter has become a mass phenomenon. We reached over 4 billion mobile phone subscribers. 2010, the offline and online worlds are getting closer. Mixed reality is enriching the mobile experience. 2011, built-in sensors like GPS, temperature, humidity, light or compass chips create new mobile business ecosystems, the sense economy. 2012, we reached the barrier of 1 trillion network devices. Machine-to-machine communication, smart objects, ubiquitous computing create the Internet of Things. 2013 is the year of mobile broadband. LTE is offering up to 50 megabyte of network capacity for each user. People are living in the smart cloud. 2014, India, Africa and other emerging markets have reached 70% penetration rates. 2015, mobile payment is becoming a mass phenomenon, driven by near-field communication. Devices are adapting to our lifestyles and environments. It's the start of the physical personal device. Nanotechnologies enable physical transformation according to their use and complete personalization in the process. 2016, the New York Times stops the delivery of printed newspapers and offers e-paper readers for $1. News Corporation, Burda, Springer and other publishing companies follow in 2017. Everyone reads the news on plastic paper and updates it on the go. 2017 is the climax of the mobile economy boom. The market of mobile media is bigger than all the other media channels together. This year, the introduction of multi-language with instant translation is bringing down the global information barriers for text and voice communication. 2018, the US government starts an initiative to increase mobile public security, the Mobile Agenda. The location and mobile data streams of each person will be tracked, analyzed and saved. We reach more than 8 billion people worldwide. 5 billion have a mobile phone, 2.5 billion including mobile internet access. The generation of digital natives has entered the business world. 2019, privacy, information access and control have become essential issues in the world's economy. Cybersecurity has become one of the most critical issues. In the year 2020, our world of mobile media is disruptive, engaging, interactive and controversial, but truly international. It is up to you how our future will look like. Don't lean back, be active and shape the environment of the future of mobile media and communication.
So you've seen there are a couple of topics which actually are more important than ever. And I think we reached kind of a mobile tipping point. So I think now it's really one of these moments where you can change the future. And there's one thing I can tell you, the future is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Monty. I love the video. I was thinking probably we'll go till 2050. So up next we'll have Aykut, who's a CEO and founder of Mobile Action, which is a App Store analytics intelligence company, and actually one of my favorite companies. In fact, my previous company, Dolphin, have used Mobile Action before, and I think within 2 months after using that, our iOS install actually triple.
Really? Well, we should charge more.
So now Aykut can tell us a little bit about Mobile Action.
Yes, I'm super excited. This is my first time to be in Hong Kong. I'm actually 10% Asian. I might look like you guys, but according to 23andMe, I'm like mixed Chinese and Japanese. So when I go to Japan, I say I'm Japanese, and when I'm in Hong Kong, I say I'm Chinese. So yeah, and I'm a founder and CEO of the Mobile Action. When we pull up, the the presentation, I can share you guys what we are doing. But mostly, I want to do something different. I want to share my stories, like how I started the mobile action, before the mobile action, and what I was doing, and what's going on in the mobile space right now, and what will we gonna see in the future. I born and raised in Turkey, and then just luckily living in San Francisco. I'm the guy is 27-year-old. I started my first company when I was 17 in college, and then after a couple of years I sold the company and then started doing in mobile space. And before that, the mobile, I think so. Me mostly, I want to help the companies. This is the company Mobile Action. I just graduated college 2011, and Friday and then came to Bay Area Monday, and then Silicon Valley. Then I just thought that is what I gotta do and help the peoples. And mostly what I did, just join the companies early on, then help them to their the apps from zero to hero, and which means I acquired millions in downloads. And I was thinking that as everyone is doing the same things, it's not the hard things to do. But that time, I was getting a lot of job, the offers from the big companies like eBay, Supercell, and Zynga. And then at the same time, I thought that is some things I'm doing interesting to other companies. And I went to meeting with the eBay. It's 2013 June, and at the time is they offered me again the job, and I said them, what, I have a company to help you guys out. And then they just think that is what are you talking about? We just they're offering the job. What is the company call it? And I said Mobile Action. It's the first name, just came out to my mind. And then they liked the name. I would say, okay, it's what the Mobile Action is gonna charge us. I was just like a growth hacker helping the companies as a consultant. I said something like what I was making. I don't know, let's say 3K. I set them the 15K per month. They say, okay, let's do it. Let's just start it. Then I first 3 months, I make their app from number 125 to top 10, and then they shock, and they just give me the $1 million to make their app to sustain there. I just only spend the 20K. It's a long story, but I'm making short. And then that story went to TechCrunch, and then we got very big the audience, and then everyone is right now that time asking to work the Mobile Action. Then I was about to not sure to do the Mobile Action, because I made a couple not a couple, but almost $1 million, the revenue. I was about to go to Turkey, have fun, and then just raise the money. Then that time, 8 months ago, we were just 2 people. Right now, we're 25 people. We're about to close our new round. That's my story. The Mobile Action itself, pretty much one of the biggest problem in we just saw that what's going on in the market right now. When I was raising the money in April 14, it's only 3,000 apps coming daily. These are the new apps. Right now, just after 8 to 10 months, 5,000 apps adding daily, which is a huge number. And iOS itself, they passed 1.4 million apps, and Android is around 1.7 million apps. And everyone, I don't know, do you guys have any apps? Are you a developer? Or if you guys have an app, can you raise your hand? Okay, just a couple people, not too many. Okay. Oh, Chuck. Hey, Chuck. So yeah, interesting is not too many app developers, but one of the biggest problem app developers or marketers, they want to build loyal and engaged user base. That's the one of the biggest problem, because if you are building a great product, how are you going to make them visible? Right? Because a lot of the companies. So far you guys didn't hear me. Oh my God, you guys missed. You guys didn't turn on the microphone. Oh my God, what do you did, man? Okay, so okay, I feel that is you guys didn't miss anything. Okay, that's right. I was saying something bad for about my company. That's great. Okay, so I'm sorry I can't start it from scratch, but anyways, so a lot of apps in the market, and they want to all build the loyal and engaged user base. And the problem is that when I was doing the Mobile Action early days, like big companies, enterprise, they have a big budget and they want to spend those monies. Some places they never tested, or they want to just like do same things what they learn online. But the problem is that right now it's like, I don't know, like average person in the US, they just only have 40 and 50 apps. If you want to add new app, or if you want to delete the new apps, which app you're going to delete it, or which app you're going to add it, which is one of the biggest problem. Yes, 5,000 apps they're adding daily. What the mobile action do, we're helping the companies for free. It's like it cannot be true, but it's actually true. What we build it as a product. What I said in when you guys didn't hear me, I was a service company. I was the consultant. But after getting a lot of demand, I built a product. And after building the product, right now we are working 8 billion data every day, and cross-platform iOS and Android, and we're providing 160 the countries' data, which is like it includes China and some the countries. Not even like too many the apps. For example, Tunisia, like not too many apps, not too many developers, but we're still providing that data. So mobile action started something, the visibility score, which is a unique term in like what I discovered myself. Because the problem is that I set the millions app, and then people as an end user, how do you guys finding the apps? Can you tell me that? Like how do you find the new apps? Okay, product account, there you go. Wow, awesome. So the product account is new, but still like, you gotta go to some places and figure out, what the people is, the voting, or what the people is like, writing about, the comments about each apps. But still 65% of the app discovery by keyword, and which is all organic. And there's no paid search, and which means that's true. Mobile action helping you, to get you the more downloads for free. So our product in 160 countries, we can tell the people how popular that keyword and what's happening in the market, and then what's going on your competitor. Let's say you're eBay, and one of your biggest competitor is not Amazon, because Amazon is like pretty much doing the same things what you do. The small guys, 5 to 10 people, in a team, they're actually your biggest competitor because they can move faster and they can utilize their app, the faster than you. So this is the visibility score. According to the score, we're giving the people recommended action. I have also small surprise for this audience, because I didn't know that I got to do the presentation, because I was thought that we're going to do the panel. That's the reason, like, after this, and no one is, hear me, so that's another thing. So that's good. You should ask me more questions. And right now, our product is just a couple months old. But we already passed, 10,000, the companies using our tool, and all over the world. And those are like, the premium and enterprise, customers. And we luckily to, help, the companies like eBay, TuneIn, NBC. eBay actually was my first, client. The part of this side is they didn't hear the story, but when they didn't, hire me, they said that, okay, let's join and work with you. So being 18 months, we are just 18 months old company. They've been, using us since the first day, and then they only say StopUp. I don't know, you guys heard it. StopUp is a buy and sell ticket marketplace app, one of the eBay company, and they only, save $4 million 2014 instead of doing, the ad spending. They just optimize their app. So this is like, the one of the case study. Fantastic. Have you heard this company? Say, the European company based in Austria, but they already passed 100 million downloads recently. They have like, I think so 20 or 30, apps, and only like, working the, 1 month, they save like around 50K, the money instead of going to ad spending. And we helped there like, 42, the keywords they were not ranking. I'm saying we, but our tool is, helping them.
they're using our enterprise plan, which is like, the giving them to, what their competitors do, what, data, or I can say that, for example, you're running a campaign, we can tell you that when is the best time to run the campaign, even we can tell you what is the best time zone, or who's your ideal customer profile and what they're searching. It's very big data, and then we just using this data to forecast the market next 2 to 6 months, what's going to happen in the market, what will be the popular. So this is the score, and I think so. My surprise will be in here. There you go. So this is like in our future. You guys can take a look and see that. But the cool things about this, audience, I just made it the promo code. This is something like you can test it for free, and then because I didn't know that I'm going to do the presentation, when I do have a chance to learn the presentation, I made it promo code for you guys. This is DELF HK, so something like that. You can, if you have an app or if you know someone has an app, just let them to use, because I really want to do this company as our goal to make the great product more visible in App Store, because app discovery doesn't work. So yeah. That's all for me, I think so. Oh, they didn't get my updated deck. That's fine. So unfortunately, I didn't bring my business card. Yeah, I know it's too bad, especially the Asia. Yeah, if you don't have a business card, you gotta go your home, right? So, but please find me after this presentation. I really want to help the companies in Hong Kong too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aykut. So up next, we have Raymond Yip, and Raymond is the founder and CEO of Shopline. And I like to describe Shopline as the next Shopify of Asia, which, by the way, Shopline just filed for IPO.
Shopline? Shopify. Yeah. Shopify.
Yeah. You too, very soon.
Soon. I'm going to keep this extremely brief. I know that we're running out of time. But yes, my name is Ray, and I am one of the co-founders of a company called Shopline. We are a self-service e-commerce platform that allows merchants to create their individual e-commerce websites, otherwise known as the Shopify of Asia. That might have been easier, I guess. And I'll tell you, a little bit about, how the product works, why we exist, what the opportunities are, and a little bit about our team, really quick. Okay, so with our product, our merchants, our customers are able to create websites that look like this. Okay, now, these are standalone e-commerce websites that they own. Okay, www.whatever.com, and I think what I would like to describe right now is what we call responsive design. Every single shop that's created using our software, using our tool, is responsive to every single device, right? Whether it be computer, tablets, or mobile phones, giving the shoppers a consistent experience throughout, right? So that's huge here in terms of the conversation for mobile, etc. So, just a couple of quick case studies. This is a Taiwanese customer that we have that has been using our software for about 5 months. I keep saying software, by the way. It's a software as a service. It's a SaaS platform, and that's kind of what we are, right? So, this is a Taiwanese merchant selling latest accessories, and they began a couple of months ago, and so far they've already, made some pretty good money. So, one of the I guess, successful case studies. Some of the major brands are already taking notice, in terms of, what we are, what we can provide for them. Some of these big companies, you would think, oh, they have so much money. Why would they use something like us? Why won't they just hire an agency, right? Actually, the bigger they are, the more difficult it is for them to build something like that, because then they have to divvy up resources and money and budget and so on and so forth. So even some of the bigger boys are kind of looking at us as well, right? So very exciting there. This is another example of one of those. People know Bauhaus in Hong Kong. So this is another it's kind of sister brand owned by Bauhaus, also trying out our systems and already selling and receiving a lot of money in sales, right? So that's pretty promising as well. So, that's all good and dandy, right? But the true bread and butter of our technology, of Shopline, is that we give them localized, comprehensive and localized admin dashboard, right? That's our technology that we provide for them, where they can control the entire shop in one place. And once again, I'm going to, of course, do a shout out to mobile, whereas basically I can tell anybody that you could literally launch, customize, and manage your entire shop using nothing but your smartphones, okay? No computer needed, and that's what we like, with the mobile focus. In terms of, why we exist, how we're different, Shopify, etc. There's a lot of different aspects in terms of localization that many in the West are not able to at least immediately achieve, right? So first and foremost, for example, payment gateway, payment options, okay, localized payment gateways. The localized ways of doing things in Asia are very different, right? They do cash and delivery, right? They do bank transfer, right? We have these features out of the box, okay? You don't have to install an app, you don't have to configure anything. We have those for you to use, and very handy for the Asian merchant. Delivery options as well. This one is an example of a Taiwanese merchant using our system, and we know that they're Taiwanese, and then we have things like 7-Eleven pickup, Family Mart pickup. Those are the things that are localized to those markets, okay? Not just Taiwan, but many other markets in Southeast Asia as well. So we also try to make it very easy to customize the look and feel. A slew of templates. You could actually go in there and customize it more granularly. I always like to say, if you're smart enough to use, play Candy Crush, okay, then you're smart enough to use Shopline to build a shop. That's how easy we want it to be. And we have an in-app messaging, which is also convenient as well. Let's try to fly through this. You get your own domain name, so it's cool. Think about that. It's all. I mean, a lot of people in Asia, to be honest with you, they have no idea what GoDaddy is. They know they want a domain name. That's all they know, but they have no idea, right? So we put that in there for them, package it up. We also put in the social stuff. Okay, you can actually have a Facebook shop. Take your entire shop on Shopline and insert it, inject it into your Facebook page, so that your followers or your people who like your page also can shop directly in your Facebook page. So another one of those features to help them market their things, right? I actually have another video that I don't want to show now. I guess it's too long. Again, it's 100% optimized for mobile. Of course, it's localized. Manage your shop on the go, and it's a great tool for merchants. And I just slipped this in there because we're talking about mobile. A fun fact that's actually has been this way since the beginning. That 70% of all our traffic across the board, whether it be the merchant side or shopper side, are from mobile. Okay. We'll talk about the mobile commerce part later on, but this is a very telling sign, and actually it's been increasing. This is us so far, okay? We've achieved about 25,000 signups or shops created using our platform. Some of the top sellers are already, making about 25,000 to 30,000 USD in sales per month. Actually, last month we had a seller that banked about 1.8 million USD in sales in their website that they use. So very exciting that people are really growing and making sales through their websites. Quick bit about our team. Raymond, Tony, Fiona, those are the original co-founders. We have I'll talk about my background later on, I guess, as we get in the conversation. But, I'm a design guy, developer, Tony and Fiona. We are a 500 startups company, very proud to say that. And we also have some pretty good support around the region as well. Some of the other accolades. We are a Cyberport incubatee. I'm very proud of that. So thank you very much. Once again, thank you, Cyberport, for having, and thank you, Edith. Cyberport, okay. All right.
Thank you, Ray.
Hi, that's it.
So up next we have George. George is the founder and CEO of Topology, and George is also a frenemy in some way because he used to work on a browser called Torch Mobile, which later on got acquired by BlackBerry. So George.
Thank you. So I'm trying to figure out what I talk about today. I've got a new life pro tip. Don't be at the same conference that Rob speaks at, because, well, he just not only gave you everything I was going to talk about in his talk, but even used my company name on multiple slides. So I'll give you a little introduction about me. I'm a software developer from Toronto, and I really had that driven home to me yesterday, actually. I was typing on the iPhone in the keyboard, the Apple keyboard. I misspelled the word yup, and it auto-corrected to UDP. I doubt that will happen to anybody else in this room except maybe Rob. So I've worked on a lot of open source projects, the biggest one being the KDE project, and out of that came WebKit. WebKit is the browser engine that is the basis for Safari and Chrome, and actually became the basis of my first company, Torch Mobile. So Torch Mobile started in 2007, the end of 2007. It was created because mobile phones, as you've heard just recently, became real computers back in roughly 2006, 2007. So it was the right time to start bringing this technology to all of the other products that did not have real full performance browsers on them to date. So those new phones, yeah, they had bigger screens, they had touch screens, better user experience, better processors, and most importantly, I think, better operating systems. We lasted 18 months, and we were acquired by BlackBerry. So I worked there for about 5 years and did all the things that Rob mentioned, moving things over to the GPU and making the browser much more efficient. And I left about a year ago, started a new company called Topology, which I won't be telling you about today, other than to say we're doing some networking software, and I hope we'll be launching something this year. And the panel that we're on today is going to be discussing the new opportunities in mobile. So I thought I'd put some of my thoughts up here. As I mentioned, we've already heard about many of these. Basically, we now have fully capable computers in our pockets. We carry them around with us every day. They're much more powerful than the computers we probably all grew up with, the laptops and desktops. But there's a new class of devices that have limitations again, and that's where we see lots of new opportunities, such as what Helium is doing, building new technology on very limited hardware again. So there are two sides to this story and two sets of opportunities. One of them is bringing the rest of that PC-based technology to our mobile phones and tablets, and the other one is recreating that whole ecosystem that we created on mobile phones in the past on the new IoT devices. And I think this is where things get really exciting. The limits are gone on a lot of the devices that used to have the limits, and now we have a chance to really reinvent the way people do things today, such as make payments, communicate. If you think about it, even the way we talk on phones, dialing phone numbers, this stuff it's old technology. It's time to be replaced. And I think there's some great opportunity there. And, well, I think we should talk about that now.
Thank you, George. So we have about 30 minutes left, and
that's good.
Yes, and
just
please
for me.
make sure that your microphone is close enough so everybody can hear you. But before we go into sort of Q&A, we'll probably do about 20 minutes, and I'd love to open up the floor to ask our great speakers some questions as well. But one of the things, just to put it out there, to start with, I like to always make the analogy is like Apple is always Apple, compared to sort of PC day and in mobile. And in many ways, Google is now the new Microsoft, if you think about it. Android, which is on billions and billions of devices, pretty much have replaced Windows in many ways, if you think about that. And last year I would say, Samsung is a new Dell, although I think Xiaomi probably will, sort of be the new Dell in many ways, just as many handsets as possible, but still run on Android. So I want to put it out there first, just, this is sort of the lay of the land. But what exactly are your companies fit into this big picture? And why are you guys so excited about mobile in general? Who want to start?
I think so. I'm the excited guy. You guys hear me right now, right? Perfect. Awesome. So what is I live in Bay Area, Google in Bay Area, and Apple in the Bay Area, right? So, and then you can always see the people who work there. And even when I see the people on the outside, I can easily say, oh, this guy from Apple, this guy from, the Google. Because of the company is turning very conservative, and after those years, even Facebook is always telling that we're still a startup. And Twitter, that's just my neighbor. I just lived next door to Twitter, and they're a startup. I can't easily say that if they don't have a Twitter hoodie or T-shirt. So in the companies the Google and then in Apple didn't some stuff. They didn't make it for the developers. That's the reason we are the companies just helping the developers and the marketers, because Apple never gonna do paid search, for example. as we do know that. And then Apple is always want to make the store equal for everyone, which means that is like, if you're a big publisher or developer and building an app, it's like pretty much you have a same, the chance to get more visible. But the problem is that, and actually it's good for the Apple, you have very limited devices, right? It's just iPhone and Apple Watch, it's coming, and iPad, that's it. But Android, it's different story. And I don't know, like, how the people, like, especially, the Android developers making money. It looks like they don't make too much money when we compare the iOS, and that's another reason we just like the think as a mobile action, like help the companies, help the developers, because Apple and Google, they're just turning like very like the powerful in the store, and then if you don't follow their guideline, they can reject. And Apple is easily reject your app, and they can even delete your app. In Android, there's no control. You can like do whatever you want to do, but at the end of the day, you're still gonna be like facing some problems. So, and that's very interesting. And then probably like after Google started some paid search, which is interesting for the the developers, because it used to be, yes, there's no control. Right now, if you're a big publisher, especially the game company, you can easily start advertising your app on the Play Store. That's what's happened the early 2000 in SEO world, because just million website that time. Right now, billion website, but we only using just a couple hundred of them. Same thing's gonna probably happen in mobile space too, but I'm seeing that as like mostly Apple apps. Some apps they just only building for iOS only. They don't do Android until they hit the numbers. Like it happened to Instagram, it happened to the different the companies, and that's the interesting game. And especially in the mobile space, we'll see that in next 1 or 2 years in m-commerce too, which is like Apple is very the focusing on that experience. That's the reason Apple Pay started. Like that's like I'm seeing right now. It's a very exciting place. Do you want to? Yeah.
So Edith, I want to now I have the microphone.
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to jump on your question.
I think that this microphone is a problem. Yeah.
Change the microphone, okay.
There you go.
And so basically, for us it's always easy to compare new leaders with old ones. So saying this is the new Dell or the new Microsoft. But actually, from a technology perspective and eras of digital development, you can't compare it, because the main difference is that Microsoft and Dell and like PC business, basically, they created a new category of products. They created digital products and internet products. Now, companies like Google and Facebook, they are actually using these technology which are already there, but not only doing it in their own business, like offering a search, they're also going in all different kind of categories. That's what I see is kind of a tipping point, a change, what we see at the moment. So Google just launched their own mobile network in the US, Project Fi. They're investing in robotics, artificial intelligence. They want to conquer the Mars and Moon, and Facebook is trying to connect the next 4 billion people on the globe. So they are going into areas where they're actually outside of their scope, but using technologies to empower other industries. So that's the main difference, probably, which we see at the moment.
So I think the point you made about the Microsoft platform being replaced effectively by Android as the new dominant platform is a great example of a cycle that will happen in technology and will continue to happen. And I think with IoT and smaller devices, we'll again see an opportunity for a new class of platform, a new class of software tools that could again replace, for example, Android, and give rise to something that we don't even know what it will look like yet, that could be much more dominant. And of course, those will evolve into probably fully capable computers again and start a whole new cycle all over. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, and it's all about spotting what's important, what are the key things, and gaining some traction and then building it out from there.
Right, so I guess I'm going to kind of touch upon the growth part. I'm very excited about the growth, specifically in terms of the region, right, and of course in relation to commerce, because that's what we're in. And I showed you earlier that, about 70% of all our traffic, both on the shopper side and on the merchant side, comes on mobile, right? So that's a very telling sign. Some of the other markets, so right now we're currently operational in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Some of the other markets that we're looking at are in Southeast Asia, for example, right? You're looking at a place like, for example, Indonesia. They have 32% of their mobile internet usage penetration, right? It's 32% versus the population, whereas totally internet penetration in Indonesia is 34%. So basically, everyone that's online are doing it via mobile, right? So you have a similar type of statistic in Thailand, where you're looking at perhaps the 30% internet penetration and 30% smartphone penetration. So everything is basically on mobile, right? So I think for us, that's kind of like where the opportunities are, and that's why we're excited about it. For us, it's not really all about apps, because I think obviously apps is very, very important, but we're also looking at things like mobile web and mobile payment and those kinds of other topics, also very exciting as well.
Cool. By the way, I think to make our panel more interesting, we need to argue. So I'm going to
take off their
definitely.
Disagree.
I disagree. Very good. So a couple of things to also think about. So we talked about, obviously, the market is huge, right? So Monty actually gave a really awesome video earlier, sort of a lot of predictions, a lot of what happened. We sort of knew what happened before, and BlackBerry, which was a market leader a while back, no longer. And who knows, maybe there could be a next Xiaomi that's coming up, that is starting now. In 5 years, it's going to take over Xiaomi. So we know the market is huge, but since this is an entrepreneur conference, and obviously, as entrepreneurs, all of you guys have, and I remember Monty actually started his first company 1998, is that correct? And of course, before you start all these things that you wanted to do, you need to raise money. How many of you are actually in the process of raising money? Talking to VCs and hope some investor is going to give you, what? What kind of entrepreneur? What? All right, you guys can all go home now because you don't really need money, other than our friend. But how does this whole mobile market change in terms of funding environment that you have seen? So obviously, complete disclosure, I'm investors of Mobile Action. How's all this impacting when you're raising money, or maybe you never raise any money? What do you guys think?
So I'm still raising the money. I'm the guy, one of the talking to VCs still. I'm very good friend of the all VCs in Valley, which is like very not common. It's very interesting things like it happened to my company. We are about to raise $3 million with the angel round, and then the round we're about to close this round. We already got some money, is already wired. Yeah, she's one of our best investor. In early days, what happened? I did traction, then in all the micro VCs, angels, and VCs, they came to me. And that's where the interesting things in actually in the mobile space, because everyone wanna learn something on the mobile or just have some company on their portfolio to know what's going on in the mobile space. So when I was raising the $500,000 April 14, then I end up to raise $800K. So pretty much half of the money came from the companies I helped them. Their VP of BD or their CEO, they want to put the money. They said, Aykut, you should raise the money and scale your business. I said, what we're doing is exciting, but not really that much for me, because I was seeing that's okay, right? But the mobile is that time I figured out it's only my office located in Soma, South Market of the downtown of San Francisco. Around 300 to 400 mobile companies around my neighborhood. If I knock their doors, they probably raise half of them at least angel round, because they all try to change the something in the mobile, and they want to disrupt it, these things. So my first round, it just took 2 weeks. to raise the 800K. My new round is just took 3 days. And then because the new round is my previous the investor, they follow up, and we are oversubscribed, and because of the people already I help, they are one of the part of the portfolio companies of the VCs. They heard our name through our customers. The big, the VC firms, they already know Mobile Action because we helped, growth. One company called Fitstar, we helped them, and they just acquired by Fitbit. And then there, the VC firms, the Trinity Ventures, they call me and I say, Aykut, what's your secret sauce? Because these guys, the triple-it to their downloads, they're just the killing the health and fitness category. So, and there's no problem for me to raise the money.
So basically, you were saying need to be best friend with all the VCs
Yeah.
and make sure they all use your tools, and
Yeah.
that's how you raise.
And then the inbound marketing, they just already know you. Yeah.
But there's one fact actually which is important for you as well. The VCs, especially one of the biggest based there in the Silicon Valley in San Francisco, they're like little grocery stores. They basically wait until an entrepreneur knocks on the door. But if you are coming from Europe, I've known so many stories, and they tried and they worked with them, and they say, well, you are out of a 30-minute car ride, so you're out of my region, my investment region. So they don't invest if they can't drive there, if there's a problem. So they have like a circle. Probably some investors who are in San Francisco won't even go to Mountain View because that's an hour drive or something like that. So in Europe, for example, it's very complicated to raise money. Even if you have a very successful product, it takes probably 6 months to raise a seed round, and then if you got some traction, it just takes a lot of time. So also the investors are there. It's very focused on a few hotspots, and so in Europe, for example, there's companies like Rantastic, Supercell, Zendesk. They either move to the US right from the beginning and start over there, or they're just very well networked, and they show much better traction than competitive apps or companies in that space. So it's a little bit harder, but some of them have a more better position because they already have substantial revenues and business built. So
I want to disagree with you just because she said that.
Yeah.
So something is very interesting European, the VCs. I am from Turkey. We can maybe consider Turkey as Europe. So anyways, when I was raised the angel round, I have some friend, we have a mutual friend, and I didn't know that time they did. That's the reason I just talked to them and say that, I just started a company. Do you guys be interested? And they said, oh yeah, you're in the valley, so we don't know, because they cannot drive to, and the San Francisco, and also they're very the wanna play safe bet, which means if you have already some investor, they committed the money, they can put the money, but the problem is that in the valley, in the mobile and big data, intelligent, insight, these are the hot topics. So even if you can fail, it's too hard to be failed because of, I show you guys 5,000 apps coming every day. And so they were thinking that if I could only just help our portfolio companies, that's big. So then they can invest. And the European, the VCs or Asian VCs, I really want to have some money from Asia, especially Hong Kong, because I really like this place. It's first time. Anyway, so is there any other VCs we can talk? So and pretty much is the local players. Right, and if you have a local players and who are doing already what you're doing, it's always great to be in San Francisco because you can see that. Yeah,
I need to cut you off.
Of course, yeah, because I'm doing this. No one is hearing me in the event started that season.
So Ray is actually one of the very first Hong Kong company funded by 500 startups. So how was it like when you were fundraising?
It was difficult. simply because, first of all, for us, fundraising, there wasn't really a huge mobile story for the most part. I think what they got and what they liked about Shopline was that we're not disruptive technologically speaking, we're not disrupting mobile-ish, but we're disrupting a market that still needs a solution like what we were providing. And so that story was, it was hard to kind of tell, I guess, for the Valley folks. Some of the Silicon Valley or the guys in the US, they think of Asia as this one big ball, and that's all they know, because, they're like, oh, Asia, sounds pretty big. I know that Jack Ma guy, it's okay, that's kind of what it is. So it was actually kind of tough raising in the Valley. Most of our funding, when we closed the 1.2 late last year, did come from Southeast Asia, because they see the value there, they see the opportunity and the growth potential, right? So they like the idea of me saying, like, open an online shop with nothing but your smartphones, right? But before they even got to that, the guys in the Valley have to kind of wrap their heads around the opportunity first and foremost before the whole mobile thing. So, but yeah.
Yep.
And one important thing actually, which Asia and probably Germany has in common, is that a lot of German entrepreneurs, they are lazy thinking global, because their own market is already 18 million people. It's they have a strong economy. So why should I go anywhere else? But normally these problems they solve, it's a problem globally, so they can actually go global from day one. And if you go to an US VC, you have to solve a problem which is on a global scale. So you have to change the world to the better. If you go to German VC, for example, with that concept, they say, you're crazy, go home. And so I think it's good to think global from day one, and that's also something which I see in Asia, in China, for example. Don't just launch in one language. Go directly at least 2 languages in English, and then probably think about other Asian languages, or move to Africa or something like that. There are huge opportunities to go global from the beginning, and there's so much entrepreneurial spirit here in that region, and probably Hong Kong is a good spot for it, because you're kind of in the middle of everything, but still Hong Kong as a market itself is small, so you have to think, where should I go? Should I go to Austria first, or to South Africa or something like that? You think about where is your product needed the most.
So it's got a couple of things just to add on. I mean, obviously, I am a VC after all. And in terms of just a couple of things to share, I think like the top 3 cities in terms of funding, in terms of activities. Number 1, definitely Silicon Valley. Just there's so many angels and investors who actually have operate company very similar to what you guys worked on before. And second, I actually have to say probably between Beijing and Tel Aviv, are very, very active. I went to Tel Aviv, I felt like I was in Silicon Valley. And in Beijing, there's just, basically to me, is the Silicon Valley of China. So that's one thing. So personally, going to these places, meeting more entrepreneurs is one thing. But on a different note, I think that in general, at least what I look for is ideally the founding team, I would like all of them to be actually product and engineers. I think a lot of times, like, idea is dime a dozen, and if you come to me with an idea, even though we're friends, but I can actually see your whole progress of, well, one idea didn't work, second idea didn't work, well, probably even it's working, it's still not going to be that great. So of course you want to make friends with VCs, but at the end of the day, they want to hear stories that is actually really, really strong story, where when you actually have conversation, by the way, when Aykut was saying about like mobile, big data, these things remind me was what KK was saying this morning, is if you're riding on that trend, even the pig can fly. So in some way, yes, if you're actually working on certain things that sort of the obvious trends, of course, the VC wants to talk to you, but they most of them actually have their niche, right? So I focus on mobile. There are people just focus on big data. There are people just looking at hardware, IoT. So pick and choose, and respect your own time and also the investor's time. With that, Monty actually mentioned something I think is super interesting, is talking about geography. And with your current companies, Ray is looking at Asia, and you're working in something that you can't tell people. So what geography, how do you look at the world? I pretty much now China is the #1 smartphone market in the world. And then US is #2, and
I can actually speak to that still. I don't think it matters that I even say what we're working on right now. The borders in the world are going away in the technology space. There are a couple of countries that have restrictions on what can be done with technology, but for the most part, they're going away. And if you're thinking very narrow about technology or thinking about just one small region, you will probably end up being beaten by a competitor who thinks global. So I think you have to always think global right from the start.
But particularly what you're working on is more B2B, right? So you're selling to other developers where, of course, worldwide, they all code in English. But if you are going after B2C, it's a little bit different, right?
Internationalization is pretty easy. It can be done if you plan it from the start. It's one of those things where it's hard if you don't do it from the beginning. So I think that it's important all the time.
Yeah, I studied political science. What I learned in the college, I'm a self-taught developer and product guy and a marketer and salesperson, as you can see. And globalization is like what I learned. We don't have a border like when we were studying politics, because I mean, if you don't think that there's no border, that's pretty much the world is yours, right? It's like being the San Francisco is of course helping you to get the clients from Japan, China, or different places, because I'm one of my early adopters is eBay. If I work for the eBay, they at least want to talk with you. But the companies like Turkey, like kind of Germany, and I mean they do work for only for that market. And if I started my business, even not in Turkey, in New York, maybe LA, I probably not gonna have that much clients I do have right now, because of we stay in San Francisco or Valley or maybe Hong Kong or Beijing. It's a good place to start. But when you start talking, my business is also B2B too. It's like very interesting, the conversation we are having, because time difference and a lot of things, we got to do in the product, because we never thought that as China is that big for us. But last couple, the weeks and the month, we're seeing many signups, and we can't provide anything like for them except giving the data. But I think so customer success. And then the onboarding process, which is very, very important. And if you want to be, go international, yeah.
Right, so I definitely do agree that borders are coming down. I mean, as far as what we do in terms of commerce and enabling merchants to be able to sell online, we're not only looking at domestically, right? I mean, the fact that if we can provide with them a solution where they can sell cross-border, and we are seeing some of that activity already, right? For example, a lot of people are sourcing fashion from Japan or Korea, selling to into Thailand or back into the States or wherever. We want to be able to do that, and we see that happening as well, right? So we do have, I mean, in terms of Shopline, we do have we use the word localization. I guess it's more or less the same thing. Having solutions that fit and understand each culture, and then be able to replicate it in different places. Granted, the experience is, similar, but it's different, right? Because every culture is so, especially in Asia Pac. I mean, like 1 hour flight, you're in a whole new world, right? I mean, Vietnam to whatever, right? Korea and so on and so forth. So we want to be able to do that, and and kind of furthermore, just to kind of give you guys an idea that of what Shopline ultimately what we want to do is that we're not just Shopify, okay? This is a DIY platform that we want to be able to provide end-to-end solution, right? We're talking about not only just create a website. I mean, create a website, so what? You create an app, so what? Right? What about marketing? What about logistics? What about payment? What about every step of the way? That's what we want to achieve, and if we can do that all on the mobile phone, even better, right? Localized and cross-border. So it's a big undertaking, but we think that we can do it, and we have the right partners in place to be able to go global and kind of scale.
So I want to add on just quick thing, my own observation, more focused on B2C. I think just looking at the top 2 market, US is actually for app developers a lot more straightforward, pretty much Android and iOS. For China, at least I have a list of about 300 app stores that's going on. Of course, about 10 that really sort of make a difference. But China is very, very complicated. But at the same time, there's a lot of US developers now also looking at China as a market. Of course, I would tell them they need to come to Hong Kong first. But the reality is, the Hong Kong market and China market is very, very different. So something to think about. So with that, I want to open up the floor for any of you. Actually, we have time for 2 questions. Over there are 2 gentlemen in front. If you can give them a microphone, and your name, and your company, and 1 question.
Okay, just one. So my name's Amog. I'm the co-founder of a sort of small mobile startup company. We're sort of established in Australia, and what my question to the entire panel is, first of all, thanks for the talk, by the way. What sort of is the right time for a mobile startup or a startup in general to go out and try find capital? And there's been a lot of talk about VCs and raising capital, but when is the right time to try convince other people to invest in your company?
Right now, yeah, you can pitch right now.
So
yeah, but might be like he's asking like some the data point. I think so. Like if you figure out your ROI and LTV, and then if average revenue per user, those are the terms. Like in the first the talk actually I introduced one person to Edith, one of the sport app. And he told me that she's very aggressive because when she replied the email, she asked these questions: what's your ROI, what's your LTV, what's your ARPU? Then she can see the data, and then she can talk that person or not. So because of the download numbers is not anymore, makes sense. The investor, if the investor knows the market very well, it's something you can show them. This is the business. For example, my ARPU is like $5, and my cost per install or cost per action, not anymore the install, cost per action, which is maybe the action for you to sign up, maybe the different things. If it is lower than your ARPU, this is the business. I can put money right now. So, but if you can figure out this data, and with the little bit the big audience, and which is definitely scalable, and a lot of investors can really consider the invest.
I would say you should probably wait as long as you can and not take funding unless you're absolutely ready. All of those data points you definitely need because the investor is going to ask no matter what, right? But I think that you go out for as long as possible to validate your idea. Obviously, build your team. Hopefully, your team is great. You have all the right components, ingredients, and your idea is validated. You have some traction. You have some data points. Now you're ready to grow, right? Then you take some funding. Obviously, you have to go pitch and go through the process because once you do take that funding in, the clock starts ticking, right? Because whatever your runway is, a year and a half, you have to prove that. We're in that stage right now, right? We have some funding. What are you gonna do with it, right? So if you're not ready for the growth, or you're not absolutely 100% sure that your idea is validated yet, or there's still some kind of things that you're still working out, I think probably should wait. But yeah, that's kind of my view on it, and I think you'll know it, when it comes.
So I think building a relationship with your investor is just like dating. And the best time to date is when you don't need the person. and what that means is first off, even to as much as I want to invest in great people, I chase after him. So he doesn't really need my money. Well, sort of you do, but
I actually said to her if you need the money, I can put it in the portfolio of the company you're going to invest it. Yeah.
So I think if for my good friends, if you don't have to raise, don't do it. Why give equity away if you don't have to? That's number one, even coming from a VC. But second is you really have to, and no pun, get your shit together to a point that then people will chase after you if you have a great product and a great team. But having said that, if you're B2C, definitely I ask all the install base, what's their MAU, DAU, and really look at numbers. But if you're B2B, then of course closing a couple good deals like I could have is a good social proof because it's just a matter of scaling it up in terms of sales.
And you should be a good salesperson as a founder or co-founder because at the end of the day, everything is selling, for anyone.
Okay, so I know we have to wrap up, but I do want to end the panel with one final question. In the year of 2020, maybe apologize, we're actually running out of time, so I'm just going to
my question is very brief. Raymond, can you tell me how do you drive traffic to your site?
Okay.
Another question for
just
Edith.
one question. Just one question.
Very briefly. Edith, basically, can you give in nutshell? I mean, what is the best way to go about attracting the investment?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you answer that, and then on top of that, please end with my last question is, in year 2020, what will be the one mobile trend that you want to predict is going to completely change the world? So, Raymond.
Yeah, really quick. Social media advertising, social media marketing, SEO, SEM. We'll talk about it later. And it works. Right. My prediction, I'm gonna talk in terms of commerce. Right now, I think mobile commerce wise, as of right now, I think it's globally you're looking at maybe 300 billion, right? I would think in about 5 years it'll probably double in terms of mobile sales and mobile commerce.
I think so. Xiaomi is going to take over the world.
So I would take a different approach to the question. So I think there are many trends, and you can jump on different ideas. But the idea is actually not critical to your success. There's the other factor is time. As you could see with the time frames, it's critical when to start and when to roll out. You could be too early with some ideas, which we discussed in the 90s, and you have to be at the right time. And that's the third thing, very German thing, is actually execution. You have to get the work done, and you have to do it good. And if you've done this, you can also look in different markets and see, let's do it again. And so you don't even need a new idea. You can replicate your success.
I think probably the biggest limiting factor right now is just getting smartphones out to the rest of the world that don't have them yet. And one of the big factors for doing that has been cost. And of course, we have companies like Xiaomi successfully bringing the cost down and getting those smartphones into the hands of people. The other one is they're not entirely reliable for a good number of things yet, because I think a lot of people are doing this right now. You walk around looking for outlets in the wall to charge your battery because your battery doesn't last. I think we all feel that pain, and I think by 2020 we're going to see some really interesting improvements in battery, and we'll be able to use phones for many more things reliably without being worried that we get locked out of our house or we can't buy a coffee because we can't power on our phone. So I think that's going to be a really key factor.
I think for me, 2020, Facebook is going to be the #1 mobile company. And for IoT, there should be another new ecosystem similar to Android and iOS. And companies like all the old school, McDonald's probably will close down. They're closing 300 stores this week. That's about it. With that, to attract investors is all about building relationship, and don't chase after me and don't be annoying. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edith. What Edith said about investment is like dating. So also you should play hard to get, because it'll drive your valuation up. Okay. So I want to thank Edith. That was a great panel. Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody on the panel. Thank you, Raymond, Aykut. Thank you, Monty. Thank you, George, coming from Toronto.